Welcome back to Miniature Dragon Comic Review, coming to you live from the home of Wizards of the Coast, Amazon, and Paizo, Seattle, Washington. As always, I'm your host for the evening. I am Jax Colon, Daniel Doc Gentry, and back from the strange things that are afoot at the Circle K, our comic gurus from Miniature Dragon Studios, Woody and Alex. How you doing today, guys?
Hey, doing all right?
I am. Anything new? What's going on with you guys?
It is a hot day, and I'm sitting in my car doing a show.
And I have been having fun learning how to do more editing and more animation.
Yeah, and I was listening to the first episode of what hopefully will become an RPG show for us. So, turns out, yes. We have been recording episodes of the Rifts RPG, but I've had 2 episodes where there were technical failures, so I have to explain how it ends, but so far it's been pretty funny, I think.
Well, I mean, it is what it is. It's not always about the humor.
Well, we have some comedians at the table, so it makes it for a pretty entertaining evening. And in the first session, we had, I think, 3 fumbles in the night. So, it was definitely a night of epic failure.
Oh, that's funny, actually.
Yeah, and I have a special die for that.
You have a special die for
what happens when you fumble.
Oh, did you get the sex dice? I had somebody who had to do that once.
Oh no, we don't sink that low.
I wouldn't put it past you, you know.
Well, the people thought that was cool, tend to get themselves kicked out of the game. So, though we did have one time when 2 of our players spent a lot of their money on a week's worth of prostitutes. So, stuff still happens occasionally.
Oh, well, that's just normal.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's just jump into it. Number 1 today is Avengers number 1. Now, this is the recent Avengers, I must say.
Yeah,
so,
the new comic. So, what's going on right now is Jason Aaron, I believe he was on Spider-Man, has moved over to Avengers. And they're doing this odd story where they're having a team of Avengers that occurred 1 million years ago, which had Odin and an ancient version of the Black Panther and an ancient version of the Phoenix and the Spirit of Vengeance riding a flaming mastodon and all kinds of just absolutely crazy shit. And they're completely retconning the history of Marvel that way. And so the current story of the Avengers is dealing with the fallout of what happened 1 million years ago.
Yeah,
somehow.
We know how much I love stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. I also picked up the Free Comic Book Day book yesterday, which I have right here, which apparently takes place immediately before the issue. Sadly, you guys didn't get to read that, but it's basically picking up with the Avengers reassembling, and Tony and Steve and Thor sitting in a bar, getting drunk, deciding if they should have an Avengers team, and that's what most of the issue is.
There was a Shirley Temple being ordered. That's not an alcoholic drink.
No, because Tony is an alcoholic.
I'm just saying they weren't getting drunk then.
Well, Thor was giving it the old college try.
That's true. Alex, what did you think of this one?
So the first half of the book goes into the 1 million BC and the adventures that were within that. And it felt like it was... these were original OCs of somebody that made some characters of Avengers on DeviantArt.
Yeah,
this is
total fan fiction.
I have to say, it's like, this is one of the few books that I read twice, not on the simple fact of enjoying it, because the initial time that I read it, I forgot that I actually read it.
Mm.
So I ended up actually reading it twice, because it was like, oh, okay, we got the 3 books that we're reviewing this week, read the other 2, and this one was like, did I read it? And then I was like, oh, I did. This train wreck I read twice.
So
it was enjoyable.
Just to let everybody know out there, because I kind of missed that part, this is by Marvel. It was released on May 2nd, literally, 4 days ago?
Yeah.
It really should have been released on May 1st, so that way it would have been May Day.
Yeah.
Oh, and those that don't know, that's another Seattle thing. Thanks for ruining that for the future, though, Alex. Now I can't put it on there.
Sorry.
I want to say that I was utterly unimpressed with this story. It basically has Celestials, which are 2,000-foot tall giants that alter the evolution of whole planets and kill us or let us live on their whim, falling dead from the sky, and ended, sorry Doc, with another group of Celestials who are apparently more badass looking than the ones they killed, which are the ones that everybody likes, and it's like the Avengers are, okay, let's go deal with this threat.
Okay.
How the hell?
You do this to me. You know that, right? I'm not the one that picks these comic books.
Well, you can't. I know what they're going to be when I pick them sometimes. Like, you got to review current stuff. I just I don't get how the hell the Avengers can do anything but get flicked with a pinky finger.
So let's start at the beginning. First off, the art in this is amazing, by the way. It's definitely a good take on different things, like Alex was talking about the DeviantArt thing. If you don't know DeviantArt, go look them up. A lot of people use them for their D&D characters, stuff like that, and they don't mind. Actually, if you have a published podcast or you're doing something where it's copywritten and stuff, the only thing that they ever ask is that you actually give credit to DeviantArt and the artist. So they're an amazing group of people. They have amazing art on there. It's great to see. But the art in this comic book is phenomenal. I was blown away by it. I'll tell you that one right now. The storyline, I agree. I don't know what they're doing. I would have to see the next comic. I hope they're not ruining it, but you don't know. I do like the fact that there's this whole Tony telling Steve Rogers that stop using the A word, which cracked me up.
Yeah. Well, for me, I'm very familiar with the stories that they're playing off of, or the stories that they're retconning, and the last time the Celestials came to Earth, Odin had to put on the destroyer armor and wield some giant sword just so he could get his ass kicked. So and we're talking about Odin here, so I don't know what these guys are going to do. It's this is just bordering on ridiculous. It
is. It's funny to me that anytime they make a movie, they throw everything else that was written out the door. We talked about this with Star Wars. 200 and something books, 100 and something comics, but they're going to go ahead and create a whole brand new universe with brand new stuff, and this other stuff now is just legend, and they can use it whenever, and it's crap. Spoiler alert in the last one, that whole Leia and space thing, bringing herself back, bull crap. I'm just going to call it right now, throw it out there. Just because one Jedi did it in the universe, in the books, doesn't mean that every Jedi has that ability, and it was very clear about that in the books. If you read it, you hack. But I'm not going to say anything more. Let me get back to that.
I thought it was cool.
All in all, I'm not saying it wasn't cool. I'm saying don't destroy things that are already written. And if you're asking me, movies are not the canon. Books are the canon. And it is how it always should be, but it is what it is. But having said the whole canon and reboots, let's go to Cyberforce number 2. Which is a callback from Cyberforce number 1 we talked about before. I want to start with Alex, because, Alex, I think your review on number 1 was, iffy.
To be honest, I don't even remember the first review.
Ouch. It was only a couple weeks ago, dude.
Yeah. So, the second one was, it had pretty art, and I thought it was, let's see, what actually happened in this book? So, it felt like they were doing montage, and then there was the villain that was introduced, which was cool. This is Alice Cooper's and Gene Simmons' daughter, put into the comic. And,
it was the same villain from the previous issue, who was tearing at Microsoft.
No. I'm talking about the other chick.
He doesn't remember that.
Yeah, apparently not. Well, the other chick, I looked her up. She was actually a villain from the original Cyberforce. So they're literally bringing everybody back. It's in a new version. Though from what I can tell, kind of in keeping with the themes of they're running with, they certainly seem to have thought her out a little bit more thoroughly. This new version of the character appears to have more character depth and motivation. But there were some things I liked about the book and some things I didn't. I was a little disappointed that they immediately went into the men did this to me, and that's the reason why it turns out the reason why it's a woman it wasn't just because women make a cool villain. It's because she's out to get men. And I'm like, that's kind of like destroys the goodwill earned from the first issue.
Yeah, again, it is what it is. It's one of those things where today's society bleeds into our comic books because apparently that's what sells. And I never understood that. I like to be challenged in my beliefs and stuff like that. It's just bad to read the same things over and over and over again. Like, I'm sick and tired of hearing about how they want Steve Rogers to have a boyfriend, how they want all these...
Wait, what?
Yeah, you didn't read that? There's a whole... There's like, I think there's even a petition for it to make Steve Rogers gay.
Why?
Well, I guess to a certain regard, he can buck up with Bucky.
Yeah. And a good pun.
Well, that will make all the fan fiction people happy.
The fun thing is with this comic book, again, the art is really well done, the same as it was in the first issue. Mm-hmm. To give Alex a refurb about what happened in the first issue was just basically the dad was brought to life with all these cybernetics, and the daughter said, "Yeah, I wanted to do it," and then she surprises him in the wheelchair by having her legs done.
Mm-hmm. And well, there was actually an interesting point though that I thought that really caught my attention was like. So these cybernetics are obviously coming from somewhere, right? And they're some super advanced version of it, but they rebuild the daughter, they rebuild the dad, Stryker, and they've got these blue speech balloons because they're cyborgs now. And then they introduce the shadowy, government or the shadowy organization, which is behind it all. Which we're adding to our list of tropes here for this issue, but yet all of them have the blue speech balloons. And I thought that was rather interesting. Like, what is actually going on? Like, where does this stuff come from? And why hasn't Stryker popped out 3 arms and one side of his body yet? I'm wondering about that. Anyways, they're building on the mythology. They're building on what they did before. The quality has slipped. They don't for as far as the storytelling goes, but they also looks like they're going to introduce a Cyblade character as well. So, which we saw at the end. So hopefully it's Cyblade.
The important ding. Who was that? You jerks.
That's not me.
I bet you it was me because I don't have this one muted because we were having technical difficulties and I fixed it.
Dope.
The one thing about this that I did enjoy and that I didn't enjoy, and then the question that I had that wasn't answered. All right, so here it is.
Okay.
I love that they created this book so you can read it even if you didn't read the originals. The way the story is really going good. I didn't like how they tried to shove everything from the original book, apparently, into this one comic. I'm all for take your time, explain things, people. You do not need to get everything into one issue. Pretend like your stuff is going to sell and build them that way. And then 3, the number one question, and if you didn't ask it, I don't know what's wrong with you, which is very simple. Does everything work now, or is it all like Ken and Barbie style, or what are we doing down there? That's all I want to know.
Well, that's an excellent question. You're talking about the daughter, right?
Both, because he has some cybernetics below the waist as well. It's like the whole side of his body, right?
Well, cybernetics traditionally, you have to have a trade-off for power, but this is some funky stuff, like the daughter was paralyzed. Presumably, she was never going to have sex ever. So, they may have given that capability back. I don't know. I think if Alan Moore was writing this story, we'd know already.
I still don't have my answer, but that's fine. So just to let you guys know, this is Image Comics. The first one was released April 25th, and we did that one, like what he said. And so far, it's not flashy. It's really good art, though. Yeah. So if you are collecting comic books for that, it's great. If you don't mind getting flooded, I hate it. It's me personally, though. But if you don't mind comic books like throwing a ton of stuff at you at once, it's not going to be a story that disappoints you, to be honest with you. And that's really the disappointing part, was just how much they try to jump into this. And then you're trying to reboot this old one, but make it so other people can read it. It's not bad. So, but we're coming up in a time, and you want to talk about. I kind of want to skip this next one. I just want to be 100% honest with you, Woody. I hate you for making me go through this entire comic book. I cannot. Let me tell you how much I hate you. We'll do that another day.
Okay. All right.
But let's go Shaolin Cowboy for our last one.
Okay, so I just kept bumping into this book, and I decided I was going to read it. Like, a comic shop owner showed it to me several years ago, and I kept running into it at Comic-Con. I'm like, what the hell? Let's do it. And it was not what anything I expected. Though you got to admit, it's got style points, like a 20-foot pole with chainsaws at either end that he spins around and chops up zombies. I mean, that's kind of neat. But like, the first issue was about as epic as a comic book can be, but after that, it's like, it's exactly the opposite of what a comic book is. I mean, damn. This book is bizarre. It's got like 3 pages of plot development, and the rest of it is just literally this martial artist killing zombies for the entire 4-issue run.
I'm so upset with you. So upset with you.
Well,
and let me tell you about that style point thing you said, just because it's out there. If I was DMing this game, it would be a no.
Yeah, no, of course.
I wouldn't even let it happen.
I've had plenty of players try to pull shit like this before, but and
you know what they called? Do you know what they called the graphic novel?
What I forget. What remind me?
Shemp Buffet.
Well, I'm actually dying to read the next one,
which is buffet, but
I can't wait to see what happens next. But it's bizarre because I don't know. Do you want to ruin the ending?
There is no ruining it.
Okay, so what happens in this?
I already have the picture of the space station, so I don't think you're going to do much more.
Okay, well, what happens is he basically encounters. It starts out with him being chased by a horde of zombies somehow, and then he saves these guys in a car, and accidentally or intentionally pisses one of them off.
You skipped one. He came out of the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not like just chasing him like down the road. They chase him through the earth.
Oh yeah, no, I'm
that poor frog is just sitting there.
So anyways, he saves these assholes in a car, and then spends the entire time killing it. But he's all done killing like 1,000 zombies. The guys come back, and one of them just shoots him with a gun, and it looks like it kills him because he humiliated him. And it's such a fascinating book philosophically, because it's like, it's this complete condemnation of humanity. And I'm just, anyways, Alex, what do you think?
So if this was like a kung fu, this would have been like a great 1970s kind of like kung fu flick with zombies.
This would be amazing to
like
half hour cartoon.
Yeah, no, well, it's like the panel arrangements, the way that things were drawn was like, I could picture this like during like some of the great like kung fu flicks and whatnot.
Kung flu.
Yeah, kung flu, and because he flew with a chainsaw. And
no, it's like hepatitis.
Yeah, so it's like as he's combating the zombies and whatnot, it's like there's some great just visual scenes that are within it. But it's like story wise, it's like, you know, this was it's kind of like Final Fantasy: The Spirit Within. What an amazing amount of art within that. As the story goes, it's like, what an amazing amount of art. And this is like the same thing. To me, it was like, wow, this is like amazing art. You know, the person that illustrates it,
oh my God,
there's like an amazing amount of detail.
Holy
but
shit.
At the same time, it's like the story-wise, it was like, wow, that was awesome art.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting to me is this thing, like, if you know anything about, because it's published by Dark Horse Comics, if you know anything about Dark Horse, this is the quintessential Dark Horse book. Like, you know, the art was just crazy ridiculous. Like, you know, the story is meant for a niche audience. You know, it's like what's bizarre is this is the book. The guy had a message. The entire thing was basically a poem, right? Like it's I have a message. This is my message, and I'm going to spend 88 pages delivering that message. And then Dark Horse gives him a sequel. And after which I haven't read yet, I plan to. And after the sequel, he gets an ongoing series, which only has 7 issues. So I guess that's all there's going to be, I think. But like that, took a year to get the last issue out. But it's just, with the amount of detail in this, it's no surprise he would have trouble keeping up on it. But it's just like, wow. I mean, I don't disagree with Doc's reaction, but I'm dying to see what happens next.
All right, let me tell you, for all the non-comic guys that are out there, I'm going to agree that the art is really good. But it is literally 4 comic books doing one montage fight scene in any movie I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, no, like that like all of that could have been done in 10 pages.
And then the frog gets a spot back. Spoiler alert.
At the end. Oh, I know, that's amazing. He totally bookended it.
But I'm very mad that you made this like all 4 the featured comic for today. So
well, First off, I didn't make you read Reborn. That book would really piss you off.
Jeff Darrow, I want to fight you. I just want to throw it out there. I'm just kidding.
And secondly, we gotta we gotta have books we disagree on, and they're not. We can't always just review books we like.
Oh my god!
There I went. Okay, I'm back.
Anyways, I would personally
the
just
carjacking happened.
It's finally the carjacking.
Exactly.
Sweet.
Because somebody's like, God, you took a hit out on me for making you read this book.
I was thinking about it. All right, so the stuff that we missed, you're right. Dark Horse did it. It's 33 pages. But this particular, the number 1 of this one was October 6, 2015. So in the last 3 years, people have been bugging you to read this, Woody? Or do they just know you have the show now, and they were like, it would torture Doc?
No. See, what happened was that this shop I used to go to, the owner basically said this book was the coolest thing you'd ever seen. And then I go to Comic-Con and I go to the Dark Horse booth. I don't have it with me, but they have these little postcards that they would hand out. And there's a Shaolin Cowboy postcard. And I've had the thing sitting on my stack of DVDs for 2 years. And I've kind of been meaning to get the book. And I eventually go, you know what? I've got some extra money. Today's the day. And
investment earned.
I want to read the whole series. I got to see where this is going, because it's like, I mean, just the perspective on humanity. This book, this may be senseless. It may be complete BS, but this guy does have a message behind what he's doing, and I find it is so bad that it's good, and I find it compelling in the fact that the guy, like, you're reading the book and it's like there's a fight scene. Now there's an identical fight scene, and there's an identical fight scene over and over for a whole issue. That takes balls, okay, as a creator, and I really respect that the guy had a message. He stuck to it, like he had a mission. He had something he was trying to do, and he freaking stuck to it. And I really want to see where this is going. I
want to say halfway through episode 2 or comic number 2, he was like, I really don't want to do this anymore, but I'm committed. Yeah. I'm already in, penny for a pound.
Yeah, the character it's like a multi-layered thing, Plus, there's also the point where he's like, he's trying to get away. He's like, okay, fuck those guys, and then he looks at the sign. It's like 6 miles to the city. He's like, I'm not going to make it. God damn it. And then he turns around and he rushes in to save those guys and does the right thing. I also love how they had those little postcards at the end, and those pictures are like, this is, like, here he is, at the grocery store right before he was fired because he was obsolete for being a courtesy clerk at the self-service checkout, and how the one where he's helped this cop and then the cop immediately arrested him after he helped him change his tire. And it's just like, oh, wow. Absolutely. This guy, man, he's having a real rough time.
Yeah, which is, that whole thing. All right, so we got 2 minutes because we started late. We do apologize, but we need to stop on time because that's just how life is. Yes. I think, by the way, the comic gods are on my side. If you notice how the sun is really glaring into my house.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to let you know about that whole thing. But let's go through them. What do you think? Last thoughts on Avengers?
Oh, I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I cannot believe the shit that Marvel makes sometimes. Oh my god.
Alex?
It would be an interesting, going on further with, DeviantArt and seeing, these original characters get a little bit more screen time. Maybe introduce Rockman, the great ancestor of the Starks.
Well, Rockman is actually Mega Man.
So, anyways, I enjoyed it because I like that it takes the Avengers where we are now after Infinity Wars, and it does this thing from like a long time ago. And I thought it was a really interesting take that there was an Iron Fist. And what I hear what they're saying, like no matter what happens, there's another one to come and take its place. That these things are going forever. Even Doctor Strange admits that when it is the first Sorcerer Supreme was on that. So, anyways, Cyberforce number 2. Woody?
Okay, so the first one I would give a 10 out of 10. I would give this one an 8 out of 10, but I'm still in. And I'm still going to get the next one, and we're going to review issue 3 because even though they they kind of like didn't keep up with the quality, I think the story's going somewhere, and I'm really excited to see where it goes.
Alex?
It was pretty.
Okay.
And I'll admit, I'm starting to drop off of the Cyberforce thing. I thought the first one was cool. This one just did it way too fast. But I would. It does put me in. Like 3 is going to be my deciding factor. And then Woody, Shaolin Cowboy.
Hey, you know what? I'll do this for you. You can pick the next one, Doc. I'll give you a list of books that look cool, and you can pick the one.
I already picked it
next week. Oh, which one do you want to do?
We're gonna do Saga.
All right, Saga next week. That means I'll get Claire. We'll get Claire back for that.
What do you think about Shaolin Cowboy, Woody?
I've said what I thought, but I think that I think it's a train wreck, but I think it's a perfect example of something that's so bad that it's good. And I really want to read the next. Like I'm gonna buy the rest of the series. I am in because I got to know what happens. Like as a creator, as a fellow comic creator, I admire this guy for what he did.
Alex,
oh my God, you look at me like I'm crazy.
Alex.
And all those cats were kung fu fighting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Again, if you're collecting it for art, this is a great one. If you do catch the little things that are in there, watch the shirts. There is little stuff in there. I didn't want to ruin that right away, but watch the zombie shirts and stuff. And then watch like 3 pages of him destroying all girls and then going back to fighting guys and girls. Little things that I catch because I have that OCD. But anyways, I digress. Thank you all for joining us today for Miniature Dragon Comic Review, where we sit down and we talk comics. As always, join us next Sunday at 4 o'clock between 4 and 3. Come see us live instead of watching this video afterwards, and get into Facebook chat and talk to us a little bit. We enjoy having some of you guys around. And by the way, I saw you, Michael Hahn, so hi. You said hi. Sup, Doc, is what he said. But as always, these guys have a ton of stuff going on. Woody, give me one thing that you got.
ConwayTheSeries.com. We just finished up Chapter 3.
Alex, give me one thing that you got besides that.
I've got Comic Kyujin on YouTube, where I'm doing animation.
Ooh.
Yeah, buddy.
And always, as always, keep it nerdy, read more comics, live your dreams. Later.
Bye.
Bye.